What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life, Season 4, Episode 2, Tyray's first date. So let's start off with Tyray. Let's talk about Tyray. So this is episode 2. I did watch episode 1. I watched it right before I saw episode 2. So Tyray went to, in last week's episode, he went to a function, like a family function or something. And there was a girl there that he was interested in. I think her name was, what was her name? I forgot her name, but there was a girl there that he was really interested in, and he was able to have a conversation with her. They exchanged phone numbers, and the girl said that she was interested in Tyray. She said that she likes big guys, and she said that she likes the fact that they have a very healthy appetite. It kind of made her look like, like she has some kind of a food fetish or whatever, or like she's a chubby chaser. She really came off as a chubby chaser, but anyways, so it seemed like she was interested in him. He was interested in her, and so they made arrangements to go out on a date. So in this week's episode, this is when they were supposed to meet up for their date. He got her roses. They were going to meet at this restaurant, so he shows up on time, maybe even a little bit early, and Tiffany was her name, Tiffany. And so he sits there waiting for Tiffany to show up, and the date was for 7 o'clock. 7:30 comes and goes. 8:10 comes and goes. Now she's like over an hour late, and not only over an hour late, but she's a no call no show, which makes it even worse. She's a no call no show. Couldn't even have the comment. Well, I'm not going to say that because maybe something happened. She could have gotten into an accident. There could have been some type of an emergency situation and she couldn't get to a phone. So I'm going to hold off on judging her and being super critical of her. But from what we saw, it was really sad that Tyray was just there waiting and waiting for Tiffany to show up, and she never did. Even the server felt bad for him. They even gave her her own little confessional, for her to give us her thoughts and opinions on the whole situation. And she said that she felt so bad for Tyray that she wanted to sit down and have the date for her, just to keep him company. So it was really sad. And so then Tyray, you can tell at the end of it all, he was getting very affected because, Tyray is normally very, cheerful, happy-go-lucky, always in a really good mood, constantly giggling and laughing. He's got that nervous laughter, I think. So he's always giggling and laughing. And so when he realized that Tiffany was not going to show up, his face just fell. And you can tell when Tyray is like really bothered, right? Because his whole facial expression, his whole entire demeanor completely changes. And we saw that when the producers were telling him that he was being catfished by some man on 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, whichever one it was. So that was when I saw his face like fall like that, I was like very familiar with that face. So where the episode ended, your girl Tiffany did not show up for her date, as far as we can tell. But then maybe next week they'll show her coming in late because she had her car broke down or whatever. I don't know, but it was really sad to see. Moving on to Natalie. Now, I did not watch Natalie in last season's The Single Life because this is the first time that I've ever seen The Single Life. But I did watch Natalie on 90 Day Fiancé. 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days and 90 Day, I don't know, whichever one it was, when she finally came to America to live with Michael, and I watched that whole entire debacle, watching their relationship fall apart. Natalie, to me, is a lot. She is definitely a lot. I don't know who Natalie thinks she is, and I'm not even trying to be mean about that, the way that it came out. I'm not trying to be mean about that at all. But I don't know who she thinks she is, because to me, Natalie acts like she's in a movie and that she's playing this really dramatic role, and she's this actress in this big time feature film, because everything about her is like overly theatrical, overly exaggerated, and overly dramatic. First of all, she's got those big humongous eyes that give this really big dramatic effect with whatever facial expression she's showing. But then her whole entire attitude and demeanor and her body language and her movements, this girl acts like, to me, it's like she's acting like she's in a movie. I don't know why I get that sense from her. But anyway, so I remember her from the regular 90 Day Fiance, whichever one it was. I watched their story from beginning to end up until I think they had decided to break up. And so when she was on the Single Life, I never watched her. So I don't know who Josh is. I don't know what her relationship with Josh is. So that's where I'm, jumping in now. So last week's episode, we saw her where she was leaving Florida to go to California. Her mom had already arrived in America and they were going to fly to California because I think she was going to start this new life with Josh. So when they get to the airport, he's nowhere to be found. He's not there to pick them up. He's not there to help them with their bags and their suitcases. So that was already like a strike against him, according to her mother. So they get to the hotel. And I think he ended up meeting up with her that first night that she was in California. They think they met up, they had dinner, and then they had this huge disagreement about the fact that he's going to have to leave for 2 weeks for work. And she was upset with him because she thought he was going to spend more time with her in California to help her get situated, because I think she's planning on living there. So she got really mad at him because he was going to be leaving. And he was like, I don't know what you want me to do about it. So they get into this, they get into an argument. He takes her back to her hotel. He walks her to the elevator. She tells him, no, I don't want you to come up with me. So then he goes back into the parking garage and they still want to get more footage of Josh. And so they're still asking him questions. All of a sudden, here comes Natalie out of nowhere. And she really gives it to him, talking about, how could you do this to me? You promised me this. You promised me that. I'm stranded now. I have no job. I have no home. I'm here with my mother. You're supposed to help me. And Josh was like, what the hell do you want me to do about it? And I was like, what is going on between these two people? Are they in a relationship? Or are they not in a relationship? Because he was acting like, why are you telling me all this? I don't got nothing to do with it. And I'm thinking, if that's her boyfriend, why wouldn't he want to help her? And exactly what was the arrangement of her coming to California? Like, they didn't discuss the time frames. He didn't tell her, look, as soon as you land, I'm going to be turning around and I'm going to have to leave to go somewhere else for work, and I'm going to be gone for like, none of this was discussed. I was so confused. I don't know what was going on, but here we are now. So Natalie feels very deceived by Josh because he didn't tell her about him leaving, and she feels like, basically like deserted or abandoned by him, because she has a lot to do in California and she's gonna have to do it all on her own, I guess, because she still needs to find an apartment, she has to find a job, etc. So he's constantly calling her. She's ignoring his calls. And then finally she calls him back, or they FaceTime each other. And he was very apologetic. And he said that he could have communicated better to her, could have told her, what his agenda was. And she accepted his apology. She apologized to him as well, I guess, for, acting up. And now they're good again. So from there on, they they meet up to go look for an apartment. And so he picks her up and they go apartment hunting. We only saw them look at one apartment. I don't know how many they looked at in real life. So we saw them look at one apartment, but it was $2,100 per month. And so she's like, how am I going to afford this? And once again, he's like, I don't know. And so then she can't afford it. The apartment leasing real estate person tells them, look, we're gonna have to do a credit check and a background check, this and that. And then the real estate agent is like, hey, you can probably be her guarantor or co-sign for her. And so she looks at him with her big old eyes, and he was like, I'm not ready for that. So I guess they're not together. That's not her boyfriend anymore. He was like, yeah, I ain't ready to make that kind of commitment. He was like, hell to the nah, I'm not going to co-sign you for an apartment that's $2,100 per month. And he's got kids, right? So yeah, I'm like, what is she expecting this man to do? If this is her boyfriend, then I don't know why he's not helping her. If it's not her boyfriend, I don't know why she's expecting him to help her. And couldn't she figure all this out on her own? Like, I don't know what's going on with Natalie. Does she work? Does she have a job? Does she have an income? The money that she's getting isn't she getting paid by TLC now? Because I know that she wasn't getting paid when she was still on the other franchise, but now on the Single Life, and she's actually living here. I'm assuming now she's getting paid. I have no idea. Like I said, I don't know what's going on. So Natalie feels, okay, so we're done with Natalie. We're moving on from Natalie. Now we're going to talk about let's talk about Veronica. So Veronica is dating, what's his name? Jamal, which is Kimberly's son. And Kimberly was on 90 Day Fiance. I don't know which one, the other way, I have no idea, with Usman, Soldier Boy. So he's on there now now he's on the Single Life with Veronica. And I thought they had broken up, like in real life. I don't know if they broke up and came back together or what the hell. But to see Veronica and Jamal together, to me, is a little bit jarring. I don't know if it's because I know them so well as a viewer of these shows. I know them so well, like as individuals that have nothing to do with one another, and now they're together in a relationship. I'm still trying to get acclimated to that. So they had tried to do the open relationship thing, and I don't know why that didn't work out. So now they're going to try to do the exclusive thing. So she's in an exclusive relationship with Jamal. And good luck, Veronica. Good luck on that. I don't know what else to say. I don't think that Jamal is the exclusive kind of guy right now because, he's young, he's handsome, he's got some type of notoriety from being on these shows. I'm pretty sure his DMs are full. So good luck, Veronica. So now Tim has entered the chat, and I'm like, I cannot get away from Tim. I like Tim. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I like his dry personality, his dry sense of humor. But it's like, is there such a thing as too much Tim? Because he was on 90 Day Fiance, The Tell All, whichever one that just ended. I think it was 90 Day Fiance the other way. When they had their Tell All, he came on as, I don't know as what. I guess as an expert because he's been on every single franchise in some capacity. He's always there as the one giving commentary on the other tell-alls. He's there on the Pillow Talk, 90 Day Fiancé, the Pillow. He's like, I cannot get away from TLC. They love them some Tim. They cannot get enough Tim, and they feel like that we feel the same way. Like we can't get enough of him either. I don't mind him, but it's just like, what are you doing? Like, what have you done, Tim, to be granted like so much camera time on all of these shows? Like, what is it about you that these TLC producers just absolutely love? Like, what is going on? So it became more about Tim now than it did become about Veronica. So Tim, he's not really thrilled with Veronica and Jamal. I guess the last time that they were on the Single Life, he had given his 2 cents about it. I don't know. He doesn't like them being together. He feels like Jamal is not up to par with Veronica's standards. He doesn't have a job and he's still living at home with his mother. And so Veronica said, well, you dated women who didn't work and still lived at home. And Tim said, well, I can take care of them. Are you going to want to take care of Jamal? And she's like, no. And so Tim was like, exactly. So you can't compare the two because I can be with an unemployed woman because I'm supposed to provide for her. You're not really supposed to be providing for your man, but here you are providing for him. So it's totally different. Anyways, so Veronica drives Tim to some singles event, like a mixer or something. And she drops him off. I don't know if she dropped him off or if she stayed. I don't know. But I think she dropped him off. No, she stayed. So he's there at this mixer. And he's trying to mingle. And he runs into, of all people, a Colombian woman. Because we know that Tim has a weakness for Latino women. So he runs into a Colombian woman who he had met online a while back, but they never met in person because at some point they kind of went off and did their own thing with other people. So he runs into her. It's like a big old coincidence. And, they struck up a conversation, exchanged numbers, and he was able to get a date out of her. So they're going to be seeing each other later. And she did tell him that she did like his eyes. Now, Tim does have pretty eyes. I can say that about him. But it's like, Tim, can I get a break? Can you go on vacation or something? Can you give us a chance to miss you just a little bit? So he scored a date with her. So it became more about Tim than it became about Veronica. Then we go into Chantel. I watched Chantel and Pedro up until the point when they got their own spinoff. I never watched the spinoff because I had enough. So I remember them from the regular 90 Day Fiance season. I saw the fight between Pedro and Chantel's brother. So I was there for all of that. And I was really sad when I saw that their relationship was deteriorating, because I really thought that, I got fooled as well. I thought Pedro was really here for Chantel, but Chantel says that he was only here for a visa, and she had to find that out the hard way. I never watched The Family Chantel, so I don't know anything about the dissolution of their marriage and Pedro becoming a real estate agent. I don't know anything about that. So on The Single Life, we see her arriving in Greece with her friends, and if she says, I'm looking for a muscly Spartan one more time, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, because she said it so many times in episode 1 and episode 2. We get it. You're looking for a Spartan. So the first night they were there, they went out. She had on like this dress that was like extremely revealing, and she got on a motorcycle with some guy. He took her for a ride, and she didn't even have on a helmet. When he brought her back to the club or the establishment that they were all at, she like forcefully gave him this kiss. I don't know if she got his consent or not, but she gave him this kiss. And she's trying to, really live the single life and do whatever the hell she wants to do and meet a whole bunch of men and, really live it up, because she's a divorced woman now and she's trying to get over Pedro. So in episode 2, it starts off with them going to some olive farm, squeezing olives, and the random things that they have these people do on this show. The owner of the olive farm, he invited them out later on to go to some club. So later on, they get all dolled up and they go to the club and they meet the olive farm owner, instructor guy, and he introduces Chantel to this guy named Giannis. And he's a professional soccer player over there in London or Greece. I'm not sure. I think he started off in London, then he ended up in Greece. So they're striking up a conversation. It seems to be a little bit of chemistry between them. And that's where we're at with Chantel. She's in Greece and she's looking for a damn Spartan, and she's trying to live it up. I forgot like how the way she talks is very, like, I don't know. She talks like she's reading, even though I know she's not reading. But Chantel, I remember when I used to watch her on the original 90 Day Fiancé, she always talked as if like she was reading, but she's not reading anything. I don't know. The way she talks is very interesting. Not much has happened. Not much happened after that. So that's where we're at with 90 Day Fiancé, The Single Life. I'm here. I don't know if I'm going to stay here, but I'm definitely here now. What's keeping me interested is Tyray and Veronica, everybody except for Chantel. For some reason, I'm not that interested in Chantel, unless Chantel finds a real true connection. But if she's just going to be, living it up and barely, briefly talking to different men, I'm not going to be interested in that. So hopefully she'll find a true connection at some point. Yeah, this is my choppy review. It didn't go as smooth as I wanted it to go, because I'm just not used to the show yet. It's the very first time that I've ever watched it, so I'm still trying to get acclimated to everything and everyone. But thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.